Aloha kako. Welcome to tonight's Kanakanology show. Tonight, I'm so excited to have this guest tonight, Healani Sonoda-Pale. Healani is one of my role models for the work she does for Lā Hui, especially as part of the Lā Hui Political Action Committee. And so we're really looking forward to getting to know about your journey tonight, Healani, and where you came from and where you're gonna go from here.
Mahalo. Thank you. Mahalo. It's such an honor to be on Kanakanology. Thank you so much for having me, Kaui and Leah. My name is Healani Sonoda-Pale, born and raised on Oahu. I'm a product of a housing project. I lived my first 13 years at Kamehameha IV housing project, and saw a lot of terrible things. They sold drugs right in front of my house. Our home got raided a lot too as well, because I lived with my extended family as well. So, and then I had a very good, strong mother and grandmother, good women, female roles in my life. Actually, both my grandmothers were really strong women. And I was very fortunate to know them and be around them a lot and be raised by them. So it was my mother who, on welfare with 2 daughters, single, went to medical school and got her medical degree.
Wow.
So it's this kind of role model, and she's a dark, curly haired Polynesian woman that had to face racism every single day. She went to University of Hawaii, and the counselor told her, you probably aren't going to do well because your main diet staple was Spam. Things like that, or you can't be a doctor because it's you're delusional for wanting to do something better with your life. So those were the days. I mean, and in my experience growing up, especially in the educational system, we didn't learn about our history. I had to learn all about the overthrow and everything at college, but I already knew that, we didn't know the whole truth. My father was in the movement as well from early on, like back in the days too. So he really opened my eyes with our family struggle for our land in Ka'u. I don't know if you guys all know my cousin Abel, right? Yeah. So that's been ongoing since for decades. So that struggle for our Aina and Ka'u, that really was a part of my awakening too, and going down to the Aina and, spending time with my cousin Abel as well. So all of that, put things in perspective for me. And then going to college and meeting Hananike. Oh, man. My first year at University of Hawaii Manoa, my sister and I got dragged out of a classroom. She was like 8 months pregnant, and that's how we kind of got into the struggle at the university. When we challenged a geography professor for sharing lies about our ali'i, like Ka'ahu Manu used to break men's backs on her knee, and they made the Leiniho Palawa out of pubic hair. These are the types of things we had to learn and kind of fight against in my days at the university. And it was Haunani K. Trask that helped us to find our voice. And many of my classmates, people I've met in college, still are my friends today and comrades. So Haunani K. Trask was very key in helping us to understand our situation and how and why Hawaiians came from the places, why we had to experience the things we do. It's part of our colonization, and it's part of, imperialism, and we were just a pawn in that whole thing with U.S. imperialism in the Pacific. So she gave us a historical perspective as well as a political understanding of our, as Kanaka, our situation in Hawaii, and also as Kanaka, like the power situation here, that we have been disempowered, disenfranchised of our, politically, land-wise, economically, and there's new evidence coming out these days that's showing that a lot of the aloha aina that were supportive of the Queen right after the illegal overthrow, they were stripped of everything, sent to jail, took away their lands, their homes, and then that's what knowledge does. It really opens your perspective. You realize we didn't get here by accident. We don't all live in Waianae, which is the largest Hawaiian community in the world. We don't all live there because we all want to live in Waianae. It's all by design. I live in Kuli'o'o now, but some of the Aloha Aina here have done research on some of the land deeds, and it's written in the deed. Hawaiians are not allowed. Even other people of color, Puerto Ricans, Japanese, Koreans. So there was actually, so it's kind of like, it was important, I think, to put things in perspective, and education is really important in doing that. So that's just short background on me, but that's why I always support grassroots, and I trust people from the grassroots,
Right.
And I like working with them. Too many times when we have movements, people rush to become, let's become a nonprofit. Let's expand, let's get land, let's build a building, let's do this. And then you kind of lose sight of the whole of what it's all about. So with Kalahui Hawaii, and that was, kind of natural. A lot of students of Hananike and comrades of Hananike went to Kalahui, and it was a great political training ground for us. And again, when you look at the leaders today, Ke Aloha Piscota, Paul Neves, Ke Moku Kapu, Mililani Trask, all trained, in that training ground of Kalahui Hawaii. These are people that understood, and it was because of Kalahui's political perspective, right? The 4 arenas of sovereignty. And that still I use till today, every day in the movement.
Right.
4 arenas of sovereignty, that it's not just about the international field, or, it's not about just going to the UN. It's engaging Kanaka to Kanaka, right? Education, engaging our colonizer in different political arenas, like the federal, state, county, even the neighborhood arena kind of thing. It's about building relationships with other Native nations as a nation, start acting like a nation kind of thing. So 4 arenas of sovereignty, that's pretty much kind of like, I think it's probably one of the most important concepts if you want to understand Kalahui Hawaii, is to understand the 4 arenas of sovereignty, that we need to engage in different arenas. And right now with Kalahui Hawaii Political Action Committee, AKA Komike Kalai Aina, we are engaging in the first 2 arenas of sovereignty, which is Kanaka to Kanaka. We do tons of workshops every single week. We do workshops. Last week I had 2. And it's not all, on social media, but, we do workshops for the communities that ask, and we do it for free. Uh, and that's an important piece. Lā Hui, Hawaii has been very, that's pretty much been our strength, is education in the community, education in the Lā Hui. So,
Because
and
the
then,
political action is tied so directly to education.
yes,
It's
yeah,
the education is the entry inside, yeah, and then you can become, then you get what you need.
yeah, and that's
The
arena
weapon.
number 2, which is, you know, engage with the, I like to call them the colonizer. I mean, we have not been, we're not living in post-colonial days. We still colonized. So engaging with them, you know, so we engage at the state level and the federal level. We are pretty active with trying to submit testimony, but of course, so many fronts, so many issues. You cannot address every issue. You cannot address every front. So we only can do what we can, because, well, again, you know, none of us get paid for this. We're doing this on our free time. And we, you know, everything we do is for free. We give away educational materials for free. We don't get any real, we don't accept money from the state or federal governments. And that's the other thing. Lā Hui, Hawaii does not believe in state or federal interference. And that's part of self-determination. When you can do these things without dependency upon OHA grants, OHA monies, federal monies, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah, so we that's kind of like our mantra, is not to accept money from agencies and things like that. Also, it's a conflict of interest, right? If you're taking money from the state, but then you're working against the state.
Right. Yeah, right.
So,
and
and it keeps
like
us
you
honest.
said, the self-determination factor.
Yeah.
Right.
So to
truly
fully
be
determine our
independent.
political, economic, and social status, you know. So, and that's what we really believe in too, is self-determination. The ability of our people to choose the future of our Lā Hui. And the only way we're going to get a good outcome is through education. Not propaganda, but education. When propaganda and education is two totally different things, education takes time and real investment, you know, and it's not to be rushed, kind of thing. The Scottish people waited 700 years for their vote on their political status, you know. So it's never too late, but I don't think we should be rushing it right now, because our people still got to kind of get up to par on what's what. So that's kind of like, you know, just the work that you know, how I got here, work we do. And of course I met my husband in Lā Hui, Hawaii. And he's on our committee. He's been active way before me, and his whole family his grandmother was in Lā Hui. So we've been in it for a while. We took a break when we had our 2 kids, and then came back again. So, yeah.
You're also a kumu as well, yes? A teacher?
Yeah, so I was a teacher for over 20 years. I taught high school, social studies. I was a instructor at the University of Hawaii, Manoa Hawaiian Studies. I was a grad assistant there for a couple years. And then I taught at Hawaii Tokai University College. So I taught all over. We taught in the prisons, my husband and I. And we kind of provided some of the inmates with perspective. Some of them are out and doing kind of interesting things, but I don't want to out them, you know what I mean? But there's ex-inmates ex-students of ours that are, you would know them if you saw them.
Oh, that's super powerful.
interesting.
Because that's like going right into the
Yeah.
ones who have been most victimized by the colonizer, who really struggled
Yeah, yeah,
in some, I mean, not every situation, but oftentimes
yeah.
it's the ones who
Yeah.
really suffered.
So yeah, we did for a few years, we worked on the issue of the overrepresentation of Kanaka Maoli in Hawaii's jails and prisons. And we worked on that issue. When you go in there, you realize it's not 40% of them, it's more like 60% of them are Kanaka, you know, and it's a revolving door. It's so if the father is in there, a lot of times the kids go in, and then they start usually in juvie and then they move up, kind of thing. So we became close with a lot of the inmates in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Another one of the systems that's intentional, just like the YNI.
Yeah.
It's another intentional revolving door.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of oppression, right? It's
Right.
I mean, so many of our men are in there, it's kind of like they kind of take away their masculinity, by putting, they kind of like, Healani K used to say that it's like they're chopping our balls off kind of thing, by putting all our men in there,
Yeah.
Well, any
even then,
Kanaka, male Kanaka who's a threat is put in there kind of thing, So that's kind of where I'm at now. So now we're at the ledge a lot. We're in the middle of a ledge session, and every year it doesn't stop. But I will say this, this past elections, this 2020 elections, some changes happened, right? And I want to just say that we did get a few more allies at the ledge this year, which is great.
Right.
I'm super stoked, there are good people at the ledge that are trying their best, but they're good people who stand with Aloha Aina values and for the protection of our Aina and water are few, very few at the ledge. And I also want to say this, that a lot of our Aloha Aina allies at the ledge pretty much all of them were reelected, which means, this is what it means, that you can do the right thing, that you can vote the right way, that you can not go with the flow and, buckle under harassment by leadership at the ledge. And you can still get elected. You can do the right thing and still get reelected. So what is their issue, right? Every year at the ledge, there's bills being introduced that pretty much tear apart the public land trust, that infringe upon our rights as Kanaka Maoli to access our lands, traditional lands, to practice our traditions, infringe upon our water rights. It never ends. And they're always trying to find the way to build TMT. Every year, they've introduced bills that have tried to find a way around renewing that permit, around doing any kind of like environmental assessment. They're always trying to find a way. And this year is no exception. They passed the House Resol 33, and they are going to create the Mauna Kea
Commission.
Mauna Kea Management Working Group.
Yeah.
Comprised of handpicked, selected members that will be chosen by one man, Representative Psyche, who supports the building of TMT.
Correct.
And he will choose the chair of the committee. So,
I mean, it's blatant. Blatant. Yeah, blatant.
the problem with I mean, there's so many different issues, you know, with this working group, supposedly working group. But you know what, they don't want to talk about TMT. They keep saying that it's not about TMT. They keep saying that it's not about, you know, it's not about the Kia'i, but they want to bring the Kia'i on the table to talk about the management, to take the University of Hawaii out of the picture. But that is not even Psyche's within his power. It's the governor who appoints the Board of Regents at the University of Hawaii. It's the governor who appoints the Board of Land and Natural Resources. And it's the Senate that confirms all of these appointments. The House has nothing to do with it. In fact, from what I hear, I mean, they don't always agree, right? They don't, leadership doesn't seem to be agreeing on a lot of issues. So we all know what this is. This is a way to bring people to the table to see where the weak links are, how they can infiltrate, what they can leverage. When they talk about management, they're talking about money. They're talking about, because astronomy has the potential to make millions, right? And that's, you know, who controls the Mauna? The Mauna can make millions, and whoever controls that Mauna
Will control the millions.
Yeah, it's like a money funnel.
Right.
So yeah, it's just concerning, you know, all of these things. And it's unfortunate, you know, because it's the same thing we experienced with Na'iaupuni, right? It's the same, it's kind of like it's from the state of Hawaii's playbook, where they see the Hawaiians rising up, right? 1993, 40,000 people marched to Healani Palace. And what did the state do? They created the Sovereignty Advisory Council.
Right.
And HSEC, Hawaii Sovereignty Elections Committee. And they created this whole facade of state-sponsored sovereignty.
Which is, so it's an oxymoron.
Yeah. All it did was divide everyone up, right? It caused this huge rift. There was a big fight. I mean, there was meetings where people were yelling at each other. You know, you had Aopoaku there yelling at people and people yelling back. And so it was, you know, it was their attempt to control the movement. And that's always, they're so afraid of Kanaka. They are, especially when they see us united and working together and moving forward. Second time that happened, you look at what happened with Na'iaupuni, right?
Right.
The DOI rule happened. This was totally unplanned. Thousands of Hawaiians came out in droves saying A'ole DOI rule in every community across the Pai'aina.
Right.
What did they do? They created Na'iaupuni and divided us again. It was, I mean, it was such a traumatizing thing, you know, that whole fight, because you had to kind of stand against your own people. I mean, I didn't talk to some of my friends for 2 years because of it, you know. I've lost friends because of it. And then here we go again. The Mauna happened, right? Thousands of people went up to the Mauna. What does the state do? Same playbook, right? Just different time.
Make a commission, state controlled.
They make a special working group, you know, and they say, give me some names, right? They're like, give me some names on who you think would be good to go on this working group. Same thing. And it'll cause division if it holomua and it goes forward. it promises to cause a lot of division. It was a beautiful thing what happened on the Mauna with the movement and the unity and the cohesiveness, right, and one-mindedness of our Lā Hui.
The solidarity.
Protection, yeah. With this, they're talking about management, right? But it's really about TMT. It's not about management. So that's my fear, you know. And I don't know if I have the energy to keep going sometimes, because it's hard fighting your own people, or like trying to tell them, don't listen. You know what I mean? It's like, hello, I've been in this for freaking 2 decades. We've seen it. My husband's been in it longer. You know, we've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to listen to us, but we kind of have the interest of the Lā Hui at heart, and we're telling you the truth of what we know and what we've seen. And this is not going to go anywhere, and you're going to look not really good in a good light. And if this moves forward, it's going to divide our people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
It is. What are some of the other things this ledge session that you are really keeping your eye on besides the Mauna Kea committee management plan?
Lease extensions.
Oh, the 100-year lease extensions.
Well, yeah. So right now, the way leases are for, and if any of you know, public lands are actually Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and government lands,
Okay.
aka ceded lands. So they were illegally seized and then handed over to the state and supposed to be held in trust, and they're managed under the Department of Land and Natural Resources. These lands are only supposed to be given out in 65-year leases.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a public process that you go through to get a lease, yeah, you know, there's a bidding, there's like getting testimony, it's advertised, you know, there's all these things you got to do publicly. You can do a if you don't agree with something, you can do a contested case. This is in the case of Mauna Kea, what happened. So right now, the House bill passed, House Bill 499, and it would allow for these leases to be extended. And the way it's written, a lease could be extended to 105 years. In fact, they have a pilot project going on right now because they passed a bill that would allow lease extensions, a pilot project. And there's one person, I believe, applying for a 40-year lease. It's all not public, right? It's all going to be decided by the board. And so this person, if he had a 65-year lease, may end up with a 105-year lease.
Mm.
Yeah. So that passed the House, and the Senate passed the companion bill. But mahalo to everyone who submitted testimony
Mm-hmm.
in opposition on the Senate side. So they changed it just to apply to 4 parcels in Hilo, where the Prince Kuhio Shopping Plaza Mall is.
Yeah.
So to only apply to that lease.
What is that?
The 100-year extension, or extending the length of the lease to be up to 105 years.
That's Hawaiian homes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
that
now-
trippy? I was like,
so
what the
that's,
heck?
I mean, that's they can pass whatever they like about that, but you got to shut them down on the federal level.
Yeah, that's actually a good
You know?
idea, DOI, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, everything in our whole existence, we should stop talking to the state already. And, you know, I understand like Lā Hui has their, you know, their boundaries of, you know, what they do with the federal government and all that. So not necessarily that you folks have to take the lead in it, but there are groups out there that are sending themselves to that level, because actually the relationship with the state is not us and them. It's actually federal and the state. And we need to stop as Lā Hui and take a breath a little bit and just say, even with this thing of the Mauna, you know, it's still to us stolen lands, right? Stolen, but you see, that's our road. That's
Mhm.
Hawaiian Homes Road. Yeah, that's Hawaiian Home Road.
There's another bill too. Oh, and that has to deal with that road. See, they always do this every
Yeah.
year.
Yep,
They
yep, yep.
bombard. Anyway, because what they're thinking about is how they're going to deal with the kia'i coming up to the Mauna again,
Right.
right? So they're thinking about all these different things. The other bill that just passed the House
Okay.
is a bill that would extend the jurisdiction of law enforcement. So I don't know if you remember, but on the Mauna, there was an issue about jurisdiction.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
That road.
County and the state.
Was
And
it
then-
under the Department of Transportation? Was it
Correct.
DHL jurisdiction?
Right.
Right. Even enforcing rules up on the Mauna is an issue because it's conservation land.
Correct.
Right.
Right. DLNR, would it be DoCare that DLNR DoCare that actually enforces those rules or restrictions or whatever,
Right.
and kind of thing. So there's always been this discussion going on about jurisdiction for law enforcement. Now there's a vehicle that would allow any law enforcement to have any jurisdiction on any public lands, whether it's state, county, right? And they would be able to enforce violations of trespass on these.
We should actually put a toll booth on that road, sister.
I know.
Anybody goes up and down that road should be paying a toll so that we can take care of that road because it belongs to Hawaiian Homes, whether he likes it, they like it or not. And that
Right.
jurisdiction then becomes federal jurisdiction. So they can talk on the state level, they can do all of these things, but all of these things got to go through the federal as mandated by the, the agreement, the agreement between the federal and the state where they were just, like you said, held in trust. So as the, Kanaka Oiwi, we have to start, not test, but just like small kind, just action and just say, Mr. Guy that's up there and the Indian Affairs chairperson, you need to get down here and you need to meet with the Mauna people and you need to resolve this issue now. And that's why I always thought that, one of the group of people that should have been on that Mauna to make peace as peace officers should have been the National Guard. They are our army. They are the people that is in charge of the Hawaiian homestead, yes, it's the state, but under trust, when that trust system is not doing what it's supposed to, then we should be calling onto the National Guard to be our peacekeepers, to be the protection, because these guys are not following the federal law.
Yeah.
We have to get them more involved because they're the ones who stole the land. They're the ones acting like, the subjects when go do an internal affair, treasonous act, and they just never have nothing but do with that. But what they did was they would come around the corner and they went steal the land by what? That's why we did the whole Ku'e petition and all that, because they by them doing that whole, annexation, what they just actually told everybody that, oh, well, we're going to come in there and we're just going to protect who? The interests of the non-natives, I mean, I don't know what they went do, what made them think that they could do that, but they did it. But does that take them away from the Pilikia? No, you just make them responsible. We can kuka with them, but you're responsible for your bebe here. You never just, Na bebe is this relationship, that nation to nation relationship that you guys thought you could just, after all these years, just say, we did what we did because we said so. And we're saying, you can say all you like, but we're not accepting that anymore. And we got to do these little things to involve them because they got to make up for what they did.
Mhm.
But instead, we're still fighting on the state level. We're still fighting on that state level. So And we're gonna keep on going around because right now is to me is a good time because we do have somebody like, you know, I don't, you know, it's not that we're gonna agree with everybody that's in those positions, but we also gotta stop and start to think about ways that we can involve them and critically make these steps into getting this nation to nation relationship. Therefore, we don't have to ask the state to make us one, supposedly one nation or for our sovereignty or whatever. It's not even on the, you know, my thing right now is why I'm worried about the Mauna is the hiatus everybody went on. You know, there was an agreement, so to speak, that everybody come off the Mauna, yeah,
Right.
and let's go through a hiatus and let's take a break and everything. And that in itself is one target thing to do, besides one open thing like Na'iau Puni or the Ku'e thing with the sovereignty thing for breaking us up. Right now, it's not so much the action, it's the inaction that we're doing that's making, to me, people in the Lā Hui, you know, like right now, everybody's asking, what is this group doing now? What are we up to? You know, Pua Case, you got, you know, Kalani, where's your group that, you know, right now with them guys developing their group on the state level, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but I go, they already putting their hand forward. We should be building that tents back up there because that's what they're saying. They're not trying to do. Are you kidding me? They're already doing their strategies. They're already carrying out their strategies on that level. They're not calling them the Mauna, but we gotta get more akamai and know that that's what they're doing. Come on, blatant again, blatant. And this hiatus is very dangerous for us. Not so much what we do all the time, it's what when we don't do anything. It's like Kailoa said, right? That what is that word he would use? That he was afraid. Starts with a C. I'll remember the word. Complacent.
Complacency.
Complacent. We're looking like we're complacent, and we got a chora konani move like this young people would do. The weaponry they would use was strategy. Every time the state thought they had us covered, they never. But they gotta show themselves again on that mountain and say, you know what, call it what you like, but you guys ain't playing fair right now. You're calling this a hiatus, but you guys still moving towards this action. And if not, you know, who cares? This is how we're gonna strategically plan this whole thing. And you know what? We don't want to be in your sandbox. We don't care if you set up one group of people. What does that have to do with us as Lā Hui? Nothing. Nothing. Let them do whatever they like to. Why are we so threatened? We shouldn't be threatened. We're more smart than that. We've been here before, you know, but I'm just worried about their complacency, the inaction, or the non-communication with the 30,000 people that we would generate for the Sea of Red. You know, down Waikiki. People are asking, come on, what are we doing? Or is this going to be another march or another, you know, or we're going to continue doing this thing of let's get arrested thing. I don't know, just my mana'o on this subject. And go ahead.
I hear your frustration. But I do want to say a couple things that there is a small group of people on the Mauna still, Nakia
That's
Ipa,
right.
who I 100% support for being up there. They're the watchdogs. And
yeah,
many people have said that they will go up there in a moment's notice if anything happens. But it is true that the ledge has not given up. I mean, it's clear when you look at the bills that have been introduced at the ledge that they have not given up on building TMT. And I want to say that some of the leadership, I am working with some of the leadership on trying to kill these bills, right? You know, anti-poor case has always been very active at the ledge for the last 3-4 years. And Kiloha Piscota's been active at the ledge as well, giving testimony. So, and I hear you. I think we need to understand that this is not going to go away. That, I mean, come end of winter, who knows what's going to happen, right? They're looking, and to me, it's mind-boggling, right? It's mind-boggling because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and they still want to build this. They still want to build it. In fact, they even introduced a bill. There was a bill that was introduced about the decommissioning of Hokuke'a telescope, right?
Right.
It'll cost $1.3 million to decommission it. I support the decommissioning, right? But why are we paying for it? Why are they asking us to pay for the bill when they only been paying $1 a year? Not even Hawaiians get that. I mean, the only people who should be paying $1 a year and having 99-year leases are Hawaiian homesteaders. These are the only people that should be getting that deal. But then we got telescopes getting 65-year leases. I mean, whoa, these
the military
long-term leases from the university, paying $1 a year. So it just, it's mind-boggling to me how the state continues to pursue this, despite having wasted $30 million on law enforcement this past fiscal year 2020. They spent $30 million on law enforcement. And then they were trying to now push $1.3 million to decommission. And now they're wasting, again, valuable resources doing a working group.
Well, you need somebody to blame, and pretty soon this whole thing is going to come down to, see, the Hawaiians causing trouble again to the taxpayers, because it's taxpayer money. So then they're still not calling us protectors. They're still not. My thing is as Lā Hui, or Kanakanology, we have in place names of the division of lands, one of which is the most important to me as a Kanaka, and it's a sacred place designated by our kupuna called Wauakua. And as you go up the mauna, it goes to Waualono, which is the top. And so why are we even, as Lā Hui, addressing all this other BS when we should just be standing on just that whole thing? Because if we allow anybody to be on that mauna, when that designation of Aina called Wauakua in Pukui's dictionary says you cannot dwell in that area. No humans can dwell in that area. That's why they tell had heiau, never have heiau, never have ahu, I don't know, these guys saying all kinds of stuff, never have up there. But the thing is, it was designated for the purpose of us honoring our akua. I think we're one of the few places in this world that said this area is strictly for our stuff. And if we don't keep it that way, then what are we talking about as Lā Hui? So when we're talking about 65-year leases and all that stuff, that's all regarding them. When we stand on that mauna and we talk, to our kupuna, and we talk like that, we have to remember whence we came. And it's not that we were going to make these designations all the way down to the kahakai. The reason is because our kupuna knew the land, the aloha aina, that whole thing. So if we don't protect it, then what are we talking? What are we talking about as one Lā Hui? What are we protecting? That we're going to keep those things up on the mauna? And then we as Lā Hui, going to go up there and make money economically by, that store they get up there, or we're going to put one toll booth so people can go up and down and they're going to give us money, or, what are we talking about then? What am I supporting? Because if I'm not seeing that this thing is going in that direction, then we might as well sell them. That's called selling our sacredness to the highest bidder, because we're still going in their sandbox and playing that money game. But this is not about money. This is about one sacred place that is designated by our kupuna for our akua. So every day that we woke up in the morning, prior to one went up, and they said one, but they went put three. That's the history. All of that stuff up the Mauna is lies. So why are we still paying attention to the lies? Everybody get off the Mauna. I mean, you might say that I'm critical or whatever, but what are we talking about then as Lā Hui? You know, and I thought when everybody came up to that Mauna, that's what we saw from our brothers from Aotearoa, from the Indian people and all that was, look at your akua. We can stand there even when we're in the ocean, paddling our canoe. What are you talking about, Chad Babayan? We're gonna put his name out there. How dare you say that, you know, we're gonna do this for that matter and not consider that that area is specifically for our kua. And it's not just limited to Mauna Wakea, it's to Keala, Waialeale, Kamako. All these top of the Maunas is for our akua. And the Apua Alono is what is the top of all that. And that's our water sources. You know, I don't get it. And if somebody can text or something me and say, Kaulani, you know, you're thinking too idealistic or whatever. I'm sorry. That's what I stand for when I go up to these sacred places. That's what happened when I go up to Kilauea. We stop one marathon. We stop one run up there because I'm inside the bushes. They call them bushes, but you know, I mean, then all of a sudden it's tung, 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 people running past. And you know what those parks told me? Oh, you know what? The thing is they're gone by 8 o'clock in the morning. So I said, so they start about what, 6 o'clock? Yeah. Well, that's when I'm there. That's when I'm there. That's when we're there. When the, you know, we're it just mind boggling to me. And I'm sorry that I interrupted your olelo.
I agree. Like, it's hard. It's not easy, you know? And I believe that it's going to end up being, we're going to have to stand up there. But before that happens again, it's going to be ugly because of that working group. It's going to get ugly. But, you know, I have hope. I try to have hope. And, you know, Kalamai, if it seems like I'm just talking about the money issue, but I'm looking at the irony of the situation. The state is broke and they still want to spend money on this. They still want to spend time on it, you know? So, and I guess it's important to understand that we got to watch what they're doing because they're trying to find, and it's been happening every single year, a way around renewing that permit. They're trying to find a way without having another elongated contested case hearing when that permit comes up for renewal. Right. They're trying to find a way to arrest us without having to do a proclamation, you know? So that's why people like us gotta be there. We gotta watch. And part of it is educating the legislators because nobody can ever say nobody told them. Nobody, I mean, if they're
that's a good strategy. That's a good strategy.
On these things, they have to know what they're voting on, right? And it's always, right. You know, and I will say this, we've been pretty successful in killing a lot of bad bills over the years. That's one thing we've been pretty good at it. I mean, there's some bills that have gone through that, you know, I mean, even this year, they tried to pass, Rep. Psyche tried to pass a bill that would get rid of the contested case process.
Oh, that was the worst one yet.
And all of the Mauna Kea telescopes were in support of it. And they all cited that if they got rid of it, then it would push the renewal of the lease for Mauna Kea ahead faster.
Yeah.
So
and that's like one of the main avenues.
They make the laws, right? They got to enforce them. I mean, I wish we had more Kanaka engaged. You know, I wish we had more attorneys willing to sue the state. for all of these things that they're trying to do. But we just work what we got. And half of the time we're giving written testimony, but it's for the record, right? So just like the Hui petitions, right?
Right.
1998, thousands of our kupuna signed that petition. It wasn't found until like 70 years later. But it was a record of where they stood in terms of annexation.
Right.
And that's how I always think about it. Even when we lose at the ledge or in any arena.
The thing is, they won in Washington.
Yeah.
They won. They took it to Washington, D.C. and they won. Because just like the Senate of today, the Constitution is 2/3 vote. It didn't make 2/3 vote. So we actually won. So even if we won, we still kind of like was behind the 8 ball, right? I mean, this is like when they went through the annexation part, whatever, when McKinley became the president, as we understand it, what happened was they ended up taking it back to the Congress. And what happened? They didn't pass it with a 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
It was by majority vote against their own constitution.
Yeah.
That's what we learned from Ronald Williams. So, I mean, there's some information that, that is out there that, I mean, when we heard that, it was like, really? Because we're, I mean, it's just, you're right about, like you said, that whole thing about education. And I think that, I'm glad that Lā Hui is on it, because we, like even today, like you're right, we have so many bills in the legislative process right now. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that you folks are like on it, but what are we doing as Lā Hui, Kanaka Oiwi, to take this stuff and put it into a strategic plan so that we're not dealing with this, your group can deal with it, but as a Lā Hui, what are our plans to strategically put up something that says, yeah, okay, you guys, and the good thing is that they're talking about it. When they're going to be most afraid of us this past years, we're dealing with the mono was when we wasn't saying nothing.
Yeah.
And then they had to make up some stuff like the governor getting pie in his face for saying had drugs, had guns. And then it was the senators in there that was over there, Kai Tupuola or whatever. Is that her name? Who was
Andrea.
Up there. Yeah. And they were like, there's nothing up here. You should have went to talk to us. You should have you should have sent somebody down there to know. But instead, he just went out unknowingly. And to me, they all blamed him for saying, but actually, he's the executive, he's the officer, he's the main guy in this state. And he got caught.
I have a question.
That he knew nothing. Okay.
I have a question. So I know, like, it seems like it's easier to be successful in shutting down bad bills and killing the bad bills. Yeah. But in all of your experience, I know you must have seen good bills that also die. Bills like what is something that you hope for to see in the future? A good bill, something, what is, about any issue, what do you think is something that we could put our energy into? Because I know stopping the bad bills is so critical, but what about that proactive stuff? What do you think would be really good in your experience?
Well, every year we introduce measures, and this year we introduced a measure on the House and the Senate side. It was a companion bill that asked for no further development on Mauna Kea summits. And based on the fact that it is, Wāakua, that it is home to organisms and species found nowhere else on the planet. and it is also it sits on 5 aquifers that feed Hawaii Island. So based on those 3 things, no mention of TMT, right? We didn't make it an anti-TMT bill. We made it a pro Mauna Kea bill. This is the 3rd year it's been in there. It's pretty much our ask, and it hasn't gotten 1 hearing. And this year, Lorraine Inouye and Senator Inouye and Rep Tarnas, they were both put as chairs of the Water and Land committees. So Senator Inouye on the Senate, Rep Tarnas on the House, which means that bills like our bills, or even reappointments for the Department of Land and Natural Resources for their board, anything dealing with Mauna Kea would have to go through Lorraine Inouye and Rep Tarnas, both of whom support TMT. So we tried, we've actually passed a House bill, and I believe to this day that it was the last Hawaiian language measure that was passed. Every year there's lots of Hawaiian language measures introduced. None of them ever pass, none of them. And so, I still mean to go and talk to Hawaiian language at the University of Hawaii. It would be nice to have some of their support for the Hawaiian language at the ledge. We need to be more, I guess, everywhere.
Present.
Present.
We need more presence in the, I mean, Office of Hawaiian Affairs doesn't even have an office in the legislative building, in the whole building, in the Capitol. How come?
Yeah. I don't know, but it's 2,500 bills every year, right? Get introduced.
Right.
So you got to get through all of that. And then, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs does some good too. They monitor the public lands or Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and government lands and those bills, because those bills keep coming. They really want those lands. They want to build on those lands. They want to develop. They want to give it to corporations. They want to give it away, basically. There's even a bill right now gifting those lands away. So those are the bills that we monitor as well too. We've made that our priority because we cannot focus on all the issues as Kalahui Hawaii. Right. And I want to say this, that there are groups, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a group called the Mauna Kea Mokunui Ailike Consensus Building Ohana that is working and meeting every month at least, maybe, and sometimes more than that. And they're taking positions and writing letters and planning in the interim between the next standoff. So they've been working really hard, and you may have seen, I've shared some of their stuff, and I'm actually on that committee with them. I kind of help advise them with the legislature. But there's kupuna on there, a lot of kupuna that were arrested, people that were on the Mauna, Kia'i leadership on there. So they are working, and even if you don't see all the work that they're doing, they are, I know that is happening. And I'm kind of like tripping out on all the stuff that they're doing, because every month there's been a new position and a new letter and new information coming out from their work. Right. So there are people doing the work. You may not see it all the time. So like, for example, I did 2 workshops last week, but it wasn't aired publicly, but I did do the workshops. We are doing the work. We haven't stopped. We're not, at home sleeping kind of thing. So, and I want to just mahalo to all those aloha aina out there that continue to work, that continue, they're not just there for the photo op or whatever. We do the work, we continue to do the work every week, every month, year in, year out, and it doesn't end. And we
Yeah.
do it a lot of times for free because we aloha the Lā Hui. Just wanted to share that there is that going on still. So nobody's in kind of hiatus really, because it is a lot of work. I mean, it's like 12-hour meetings sometimes, you know, just to write a letter to NSF or write a letter to the military about Puakuloa and their needs and kind of thing. So even if you don't see the work, you don't see people like standing on the street, they're doing the work. There's lots of people doing the work right now to protect our mauna.
My ka'i. And that's a lot of it. It is like that, especially because it's not only that the work is free, but that you have family to provide for and children to raise. And then these hours is on top of that too. It's also not like it's free,
easy.
but it's not always like everybody has so much free time as well. And you have to take away from some other kuleana to take on this one as well. Yeah, the sacrifice that comes with this kind of work. And I think that's why I'm so grateful to you, Healani, for everything that you do. Because I know it must be just exhausting, you know, because you go to the ledge and it's just, you're bombarded. Like you said, 2,500 bills. And it's such a short time from when you see them to when you got to be on it already to stop these bills. And some of them have major consequences. Like that contested case, ending contested cases. You'll look at all the struggles and events since the 70s to now. How much aina and water has been through that specific method. I mean, that's the avenue to take.
The Pash law came out of a contested case.
That's right.
Yeah, and how much again and again, all these resort developments and you know, all kinds of heavy things tapping into our aquifers and polluting the aina and taking the coastline and destroying farmlands, and all of this stuff has been fought through contested cases. I mean, that's just one example of one bill that could have devastating consequences on the ability to protect aina. So, you know, I really applaud you for taking on the legislative kuleana, because it's huge. It's huge.
But yeah, and I just want to say too, like, I'm really kaumaha with, you know, part of the colonizers' way to conquer our people has always been to divide, right? To pit our own people against us. You look at the land struggles in Maui going on right now, and then, you know, of course, with the Mauna Kea working group, it really makes me sad to see how Hawaiians allow themselves to be used by these colonizing large landowners who really just want to get kuleana landowners off of the land.
Right.
Like, you know, they're using our own people against people who have for decades, like Keamoku Kapu, stood for our aina, you know. And these guys come out of nowhere, and it's, you know, that's what makes me sad about the movement. And maybe I'm just, you know, kind of in that, I've been in that mood lately. I've just been kind of kaumaha about it, you know.
Yeah, sometimes we have to balance that way. You know, that's why when that bill came up about that contested case hearings, that's what Kalani's whole case was built on, to have them stop and say, you know what, you never have any public testimony on this thing. They thought they were just going to write it all through and did what they did. And instead they had to back up a little bit. But I didn't know that they were going to back up, get Ricky Amano to be the judge, right? To then turn around and just say, you know what, this doesn't have nothing to do, the blah, blah, blah. We have now Hawaiians, like everybody in the whole state can put in their mana or whatever. And it was okay then to just pass this thing to go where it went. And like we were talking about before, it looks like it was a lost battle. But to me, the lost battle will be if they get rid of that, if they put it through the legislative action and they totally take that out of the process. That to me is the sad day.
Well, the bill is dead, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hallelujah.
right. That's right. Oh,
Mahalo
thank
to
you.
Yeah.
everybody
But,
who
and I would
submitted
like to say, like,
testimony.
Oh,
you know, sometimes it's hard to see, you know, we don't sometimes take the time to rejoice on all of our successes, but we are winning when it comes to TMT.
mhm.
I mean, to me, it's
I think
amazing.
so.
It's totally amazing with no money, like, not like we got big corporate backers, right? We stopped a multi-billion-dollar corporation from building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a win. And the part of it is where we have the winning hand right now, you know, which
Yeah.
is our Kia'i power.
Yeah.
So and I think sometimes we forget that and we should revel in that, you know, like
Mhm,
that we are
mhm.
winning.
It's
That
so
we,
true. Even like with in here in Puna, we have our Pohoiki boat ramp. We're trying to get our boat ramp back. So we have access to our fishing grounds again. And it's, you know, it's been a 3-year struggle and all kinds of crazy bureaucratic red tape and excuses and incompetence just down the line consistently. But then I look at what we've done, you know, you feel so frustrated in the time. You're like, what do you mean you're not gonna do this? And you gotta get another emergency proclamation exemption so you can get the Army, you know, like we've been telling you how to do your job for 3 years now, you know, helping. But then you look back for a second, you feel so frustrated. But you look back and think, had we not done anything, we'd be looking. They told us it's gonna take 20 years, an entire generation.
do it. They always, oh no, yeah. I remember people telling me, oh, you know, TMT is going to be built anyway, right?
Oh
Right?
yeah,
You
that was
know, I support you guys, but you know it's going to be built. They always do that. It's a
Mhm.
mind game. Well, look at what happened with our family land in Puko'o on Molokai.
That was
We're
a good
ready.
one.
We hired an attorney, everything. We're ready for the long battle, right? We thinking, oh, 20 years, Kemoku, 20 years, right? Took him. The guy picks up in the middle of the night, leaves with his wife, right? Sells his house and is gone. So
Did the Kupunas visit him?
know what
You know,
happened,
Mola,
right?
right?
So you never know.
No, and it's true though, to really look and like, you know, where would we have been without those contested case hearings for the Mauna that began in 2010 and the lawsuits?
Mhm.
Would have been there already, you know, to be here over a decade later and still no nothing, you know, except they're like frantic scramblings to try and divide and conquer again. Yeah.
Actually, since 2003, there's been no
Oh,
development
that's
on
right. That's
Mhm.
right.
2003, and it's because of Kia'i, like
That's
you know,
right.
Kealoha Piscoda, like Uncle Paul Neves,
Right.
like Kuching, like
Yeah.
and
And T-Mac.
Luana
countless
bag.
others, you know, countless
Yeah.
others that have
Mhm.
stood for the Mauna, and you know,
Mhm.
even the Kanaka Rangers, right? We all
Yeah,
Right.
the Haleo
Right.
Skill Brothers, that was
Right.
me.
Yeah.
So
so
they occupied for a year.
yeah,
A
So,
year.
so you're
amazing.
right.
I just think our people are amazing. The things
They're
that
amazing. We can do many, many things, man.
yeah.
They're amazing. That's why I'm inspired, you know, by this new generation and how they, you know, how everybody, even the kupunas, the little ones. I mean, just seeing that whole thing happen up at Mauna with the little kids holding the sign and, you know, taking it their kuleana and, you know, their parents like instilling, you know, certain things in them. This is not some place that you run around and just jump around and yell and scream and, you know, and they'll tell you, they'll stop you and they'll tell you, you know, when you come, you have to go wash your hands and then you go get me'ai. But you're right. I mean, the thing that happened that got that unity, that whole thing that happened up there just happened. And it was the Lā Hui that, you know, brought the food or you know, brought stuff for the, you know, whoever was up there. And it was the camaraderie and the kanawai that, you know, like every time, you know, poor guys would just come out and just state, you know, when we're up here, you know, we have to be, you know, very conscious of, you know, kapu aloha and just having that on a regular basis to all groups that came up there made this thing so real and so respectful. You know, everybody came up there with that respect and dignity and hano and all of that stuff, and how the education guys came in, and even when some of the police officers that were off duty,
Yeah.
came and holy anti-poor guys, and just, it was just,
I feel like it was what happened to us down here in Kanaka as well. Because my kids is small, I'm a single mom, I work, I get 3 jobs, I cannot go up to the mountain. I would go and bring my things and bring a whole kupu or whatever, and then I couldn't stay like so many of my friends. So I'm down here in Kanaka holding, but it's like, if you're in downtown Hilo and somebody be like, just random, cool, and you hear this like echo chain down the whole downtown Hilo, everybody, and then beeping horn, just random. Through the whole time was this whole like joy, and it was so empowering, and you just hear that connection, that pilino, that everybody would unite on this issue, and it was I don't know how to say it, but like joy to have the opportunity to like really have a successful stand under our kuleana and under our belts, as the new and up and coming one. But I do want to ask Healani, as you go forward, and like you said, the work is never done. What do you hope eventually to be your legacy? Where, and you've been dedicating your life to Lā Hui, really, and what is it out of all of that work that you want to have behind you?
Well, actually, I see a lot of the fruits of my labor, today, like just being able to have the trust of a lot of the Lā Hui in terms of helping them to formulate their positions and kind of things. So I work with a whole lot of different people and a lot of different groups on different islands. So I can see a lot of the fruits of my labor now, but then I also think, in the future, at least they can say we didn't do anything. At least we can say I can proudly say I tried my best. I did what I could. I wasn't Moloa, and I stood for what was Pono, and everything that I did, I tried to do it on the record. There's things that future generations can read. Probably hundreds of testimonies. I have no idea.
Maybe thousands, yeah.
There's so many things, that the future generations can see, but I'm hoping that it would put things in a different perspective. I always think about being the Kanaka voice at the ledge, because there's nobody really there advocating for our people. There's environmentalists, there's progressives, there's people there for Department of Hawaiian Homelands, but no one there just for Kanaka. Yeah, and so that's important to me, is having some kind of voice and being transparent and trying to be a role model to others on how to move forward. People talk about principles, but I don't know if they really know what it means. How to move forward in a principled manner in terms of being transparent, not being influenced by any kind of state or federal governments, having the best interests of our Lā Hui at heart, and doing the work for free. Because if we getting paid, I know, I work 2 jobs. It's hard to survive without a job. You need a job to be in the movement. If you're gonna go in the movement trying to make money, then you're going in the movement for the wrong reasons. And that's always, I always, try to tell people that, like, you gotta look at why you're in the movement. It's not a money-making thing.
That's right.
You gotta have a job. So moving forward in a principled manner that would move our people forward and build trust. So how many leaders we've had that have ended up being corrupt, charging people for big money for stuff that ended up falling through, or giving promises. I'm not promising anything really, you know,
Mhm.
and we're just, for me, it's all about education. You know, it's about
Right.
kind of raising that consciousness. And that's what the Mauna has done too, is help to raise the consciousness of our Lā Hui,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know, raising that consciousness. But I try to be a role model, you know. I mean, they've come after me. They've, you know, the ledges, I mean, they've called my boss, legislators. um, they've reported me to the ethics commission. Nothing came out of it because I don't get paid for this stuff. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm a community activist or advocate, you know. So you have to be principled because, and I always, Hanani K. Trask always said that to us.
Mhm.
You have to cross your T's and dot your I's because they're gonna come after you. If you come,
Right.
if you come into this movement and you got something to hide, then you're a liability to our people. You know,
Right.
you gotta just be transparent, and
Oh,
so that's kind
and
of like,
there's more people that's in your organization. Like I know that you have a core group of on
yes,
this.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
We have a great committee. I love our committee. Oh my gosh, they're
that's
all,
part of it too.
oh
A large part of it.
yeah, and I mean, awesome. And I mean, we don't always agree, and oh, it's awesome. So our chair is Lea Nui Nui Niheo, who is a great granddaughter of Puno Hawaii. She's been in the movement for like 30 years.
Forever.
Lehua Kinilau, who was the last elected Kia'aina of Kalahui, Hawaii. My husband, of course, Shane Pale, he's our graphic artist. And then Rebecca Luke, who used to run the Haleku'ai, which was a shop that gave 1% of its profits to Kalahui, Hawaii, you know, for us to do our work. But it's not in existence anymore. But she ran that for years. And then Lani Lambert, who does a lot of she helps us formulate our positions on land and things like that. Kealo Hapiscoda is also part of our communique. So we have, you know, more of an extended group too, like more of a steering group with older leaders as well. So it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's multi-generational kind
Right.
of thing too. But
Right.
yeah, oh yeah, I couldn't do this work without them because, you know, and it's all of our work. It's not just, but for some reason they don't like talk, so I got, oh, so funny.
Oh, but keep
Oh,
But yeah,
good for
ladies are
us.
chair now, so, but then yeah, we all support each other, and you need that. You need that support of each other. You need to have a group where you can trust each other, you know,
Mhm.
right.
and
Fun.
be transparent and kind of hold each other accountable, kind of thing.
Well,
Mhm.
I want to thank you because, you know, in what you're saying, I was getting chicken skin because, you know, I teach social studies in Pahoa, at Pahoa, my alma mater, Pahoa High and Intermediate. And, you know, the record is so critical. And everything, you know, I teach Hawaiian Kingdom history and modern history of Hawaii. And also government, the civics class, participation, democracy. And, you know, having that, then I kind of get in trouble with my boss when I say, well, look, it's right here in the Pala Pala, you know, I don't look so radical. They don't get so nervous when I'm talking about war crimes, but the kind, you know, it matters. It matters. And your work is really important to
Mhm.
be able to have that record that shows the leo of the people. And the fact that you take the time to be there is huge.
Yeah.
Halahui, having that voice in the ledge is so important in the long term for all of us, especially into the future, for our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, so they'll know, just like how we know that the people were against annexation. There's not a doubt. Nobody can refute that because the record speaks for itself. And so, mahalo nui, Healani, really.
Yes.
That's the only way you can build a case too.
Yeah,
Putting it on the record.
That's true. That's
Right.
true.
right.
But give all the group and your, people behind, that doesn't want to talk, give them our aloha. And for real, you guys' work is
Inspiring.
inspiring. It's inspiring. It's everything that you said, it's never ending. That's the continuum. It's just never ending already. It's already, like already says everything. But hopefully, like how Leah has brought up, it said all these little things that if we can see the positives, and really, like you said, rejoice in those things, because we have to balance somewhere or another, and we have to. But just knowing that you guys are there, if we can help in any way, let us know. But thank you guys so very much. It's not an easy task, and every year it's, how do you guys build up the stamina to just always, win some of the battles and, do that whole action without it, trying on you personally and or, okay, next year we have to do this or whatever, but whatever way we can help, let us know. Let us know. We're there.
Right.
Okay.
Mahalo. Mahalo for
Yeah,
having me.
mahalo.
It's an honor to be on your guys' show. Love you guys, Leah and Kaui. Mahalo.
Oh, mahalo nui. Aloha you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, Monday on Kanakanology. Hui ho.
Hui ho.
Aloha.